Hi, good night, everybody. Please share the link. I'm not able to join through the conversation with Rickford Burke Studios because of some technical difficulties, and I don't have the my technical guys around because we're building a studio and other platforms, so I don't want to disrupt that. So please share the link, and for those of you who would not be able to see, who are waiting for this broadcast on YouTube, I'll post it on YouTube after. So share the link, everybody. Good night. Good night. Uncle Mortimer, Dean. Good night, sir. Roger, good night. Roger, I have to give you a call. Jenny, good night. Share the link, everybody. Share the link, share the link, share the link. Interesting topic tonight. For those of you who are Sabbath keepers, hope you had a great Sabbath today. Share the link, everybody. Share the link, share the link, share the link. I know it's Saturday night. Everybody probably has plans to go out, but, you know, share the link, share the link. All right, so I had decided that I wouldn't do any programs until we start the new podcast, which is sometime by the end of this, well, early November. We had planned to do it in October, but we still sorting through some stuff and building out a studio and so on. So we'll start a new podcast. It will be a national podcast, national, probably syndicated in the United States, and you'll be able to see it in the Caribbean, all around the world. So just bear with me. Hey, Orlando, good night. How is Chicago? So, you know, call up all your relatives and friends. Let them know Conversation with Rickford Burke is on. When I'm doing it from Facebook only, from my profile here, because of some technical issues with the. So I wanted to talk tonight about the removal of the Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Guyana Cummins, and I'm passionate about this issue because I've been following it for probably years. Anil Nanalal, Bart Jagdeo, Irfan Ali, and these racist guys in the PPP, first of all, they have contempt for women. Second, they have even more contempt for black professional women. Check throughout the course of the PPP's government, and more recently, since they came back into power in 2020, how they have been contemptuous of black professional women. Barjak, they're calling Kati a member of parliament, Kati used low life, etc. How they treated Don, attorney and former magistrate Don Cush, in removing her from the Consumer Affairs Commission. All of these people that they have no respect for. And then how they have treated Faith Magusti as chief magistrate. Listen to the contempt with which Anil Nanlal, a weak man, an impotent man, right? Listen to the contempt with which he spoke of Justice Cummings and Justice Don Gregory at the Court of Appeal, and how he spoke of Faith Magusti, especially with regard to the Brutus case, the case involving former Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus and his wife. They're contemptuous of black people. They're contemptuous of black women. And I have been monitoring this issue and writing about it as late as July. I wrote about the plot because I know someone in the PPP who has been sharing this information with me. And not only sharing the information with me, but it's like so hot, but keeping me abreast, taping these guys. I'm gonna embarrass them. I'm waiting because that person sent me a tape conversation, and somehow I don't know, I misplaced it. But I'm gonna try to get it back. But they have been targeting Justice Cummings for the longest while because of her independence in the judiciary. And the Constitution of Guyana requires independence of the judiciary. It's called separation of powers. The parliament is a separate and co-equal branch of government. The executive branch, which the president heads, parliament is headed by the speaker, is a separate and co-equal branch of the government. And the judiciary is a separate and co-equal branch of the government. The judiciary's function is to interpret the laws and to keep a check on the powers of the executive, to make sure they comply with the law. And the function of the parliament is to make law, it's the legislative branch. They're all independent and co-equal. It's in the Westminster system that we have. Well, it's not fully Westminster because our parliament, our president is not part of the parliament. But, you know, ministers are part of the legislative branch. In other countries, they're not. And so the legislative branch and the executive, they commingle a little there. But the judiciary is completely separate. But this bunch of racists in the PPP government, which is an ethnocracy. An ethnocracy is a government that governs only for their ethnic collective, their only ethnic group, their political base. These guys are racist. And let me say this. They argue that, oh, we're not racist because we got James Bond and Mark Phillips and a complete buffoon, Juan Ejil and Kwame Fish, pedophile McCoy, and these other guys, Onish Wadron, and now they brought in 2 more African Guyanese. These guys are useless. They're token Negroes. They have no independence. They're house slaves par excellence. They have no influence. And let me tell you, Utah, I like Utah. But these guys can't earn the respect of people because they condone the racism. They condone it. Now, the PPP has a strategy where they like to call me racist. I don't give a flying fish who you call me. Their strategy is when we complain about an exposed racism, is to call us racist. Oh, Burke is a racist. I have never one day issued a statement that condemns or expresses prejudice or discrimination against any race. I speak out about racism. They're all intellectually lazy. The folks in the PPP cult. Right? Because they think attacking us as racists would deter us from speaking out. Hell no. I don't give a flying fish what Jack Day called me. I don't care what Anil Nandlal called me. I'm proud to be black. And I will always stand up for all people and fight for the liberties and fight for justice and the rights of all people, but particularly black people. Because throughout the world and throughout all ages, we're the ones that have been discriminated against. We're the ones that have been placed in slavery. We're the ones that they want to subjugate. There's something about the black African people that makes some people want to keep us down. We're geniuses. And if they allow us to excel, we'll take over the world. That's my belief. And so we have a right to speak up. We have a right to speak up for the rights of African people, especially in Guyana. The most racist government in the Western Hemisphere is the PPP. And when you speak up, they call you racist. One of them had the audacity to call me this morning. I don't take social media calls. But somehow, he took God out of his thoughts to call me to tell me stop the racism. As the guys on the street in Brooklyn would say, well, he's not even that. Let me don't say it. That's going to go down into the vernacular. And he's calling me to say, I am preaching racism because I'm pointing out the racist tendencies, practices, and policies of the PPP government. Negro, look, well, he's not Negro. But that's not the word I want to use. Don't take the liberty to call me. Call Jack. I have never seen any East Indian in Guyana, in the PPP or in civil society, call on the PPP to stop discriminating against us. It is because they agree with them. I see Jennifer Ali spewing the most vile, racist comments against Afro-Guyanese on social media. And nobody in the PPP says anything. They agree with her. And the Anti-Black Ethnic Relations Commission. Why are those black people like Mr. Witter and all, why are they still on the Ethnic Relations Commission? The Ethnic Relations Commission is anti-black. It is a mechanism that the PPP is using to suppress and monitor and suppress Afro-Guyanese speech, free speech. But they can't suppress my free speech. Anil Nala wrote all kinds of letters to the U.S. government. He looks like a fool. The U.S. government can't tell me what to say. He said, I am causing widespread violence and hatred throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. Anil Nala wrote that. The Attorney General, the killer, the murderer that he is, wrote that. And where has that gotten him? His letter went into the garbage. And he'll write some more letters. Write some more letters. So I wanted to set the record straight when it comes to us speaking up for our rights. Don't tell us we're racist. You don't know what racism is. I have never, as I said, expressed prejudice against East Indian people or demean them as a people. I speak out about discrimination against blacks and others, even some East Indians, perpetrated by the PPP and their East Indians. Don't tell me I can't say Anil Nanlal is East Indian and that's racist. Go to hell with that bullshit. That's a factual statement. So, Guyanese, you all speak up, disabuse yourself of this nonsense from the PPP that once you speak about their racism, you're racist. Share the link, everybody. Keep sharing it. So, I have been talking about this plan. So, Justice Cummings went on leave. And Gail Teixeira, I have a serious problem with the way this government governs. Gail Teixeira, that old wicked witch, I could call her that because she wrote a letter to the UN calling me a criminal and all that kind of thing. That old Jezebel, that old concubine Gail Teixeira, she is a minister of the government. And she writes to the opposition leader. I'm not even sure that this is constitutional. She writes this. Let me mind my words. So she writes to the opposition leader, Mr. Compton Norton, leader of the opposition. This is July 10. Office of the leader of the opposition region road border. Dear leader of the opposition, meaningful consultation on appointment of judges to perform the functions of Chancellor and Chief Justice pursuant to Article 127(2) of the Constitution. By letter dated 11th of April 2025, Justice John Cummings Edwards, ORSC, Chancellor of the Judiciary Acting, informed His Excellency President Mohammed Irfan Ali of her intention to proceed on 3 months deferred accumulated leave from July 16th, 2025 to the 15th of October 2025. This leave was granted. Now, I'm not sure that Justice Cummings has to get permission from Ali, the president, to go on leave. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that. But I guess this is a courtesy. To me, she informed him that she would be proceeding on leave. Because I don't know why Gail Teixeira think that the president got to grant her leave. The judiciary is independent, a separate, independent, co-equal. She doesn't have to get the permission of the president to go on leave. She has to inform him that she's proceeding on leave. Gail, get it together. Anyway, Justice Johnny Cummings Edwards proceeding on leave results in a leadership vacuum within the judiciary. His Excellency considers this to be an undesirable state of affairs. To fill the vacuum resulting in Justice Johnny Cummings Edwards' absence and ensure continuity in the function. Who cares about all that crap? Anyway, ensure the functioning of the Office of Chancellor and the efficient function of the judiciary. His Excellency wishes to act pursuant to Article 127(2) of the Constitution, which provides as follows, and she's quoting the Constitution. And I want you guys to listen to the words I'm reading very carefully. Listen to the text of the Constitution. Well, of course, I've checked the Constitution. I've confirmed that what is quoted here is the text of the Constitution. If the office of the Chancellor or Chief Justice is vacant, or if the person holding the office of Chancellor is performing the functions of the office of the President, the Chancellor is the third in line of succession for the presidency. So if something happens to the Speaker or the Vice President, the Prime Minister, the Chancellor. Anyway, let me read that back. If the office of the Chancellor or Chief Justice is vacant, or if the person holding the office of Chancellor is performing the functions of President, or for any other reason unable to perform the functions of his office, his or her office, or if the person holding the office of Chief Justice is for any reason unable to perform the functions of his or her office, then until a person has been appointed to and has assumed the functions of such office, or until the person holding the office has resumed those functions, until the person holding the office has resumed those functions, as the case may be, those functions shall be performed by such other of the judges as shall be appointed by the President after meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition. So a couple of things here. First of all, Gail Teixeira has no standing whatsoever to write the opposition leader and call that meaningful confrontation with the president and the opposition leader. Why are we as Guyanese accepting this crap? Why didn't Mr. Norton send back her damn letter? That's not consultation. The president is required not designate his functions to a witch like Gail Teixeira. She has no standing on this matter. There's no, unless she's performing the functions of the president. Gail Teixeira has no standing whatsoever. So, it is clear that the president appointed Justice Roxanne George to function as chancellor, and a racist judge, Navendra Singh, unprofessional, lacked the temperament to be a judge, Navendra Singh, to perform the duties of Chief Justice in violation of the Constitution. Gail Teixeira has no, this is my personal view, Gail Teixeira has no standing to write the opposition leader. There's nothing in here saying, I am performing the functions of the presidency. There's nothing in here even, which is unacceptable in any case, stating that the president has designated me to inform you. Nothing of the sort. The president is too big to call in the opposition leader for consultation. This is a violation of the Constitution. And I had a meeting with some folks in the international community. And one of the things they asked me is why the opposition in Guyana does not litigate matters where they feel the government violate the law. And it beats me, Bia. It beats me. This is not consultation. It's a violation of the Constitution. So the president did not consult with the opposition leader when he appointed Justice George as Chancellor and this guy, Singh, Navendra Singh, as Chief Justice. That's the first point I want to make. Second, my question is, when the Chancellor proceeds on vacation, is the office vacant? I don't think so. Lawyers, help me out here. Judges. I see one of my friends who's a judge in the Caribbean here. Tell me, this Constitution is speaking to when the office is vacant. It doesn't say when they're on annual leave. And when the Chancellor is on, I have to go back and check the precedents. When the Chancellor is on vacation to see if the custom is to swear in somebody to act as Chancellor. Because as far as I'm concerned, if the Chancellor is on vacation, the office itself is not vacant. And the Chancellor can still perform the duties of Chancellor. For instance, swearing the President. She could come on vacation and swear in the President. So maybe that's how they do it. I don't know. That's not how it's done in here. A next thing, which is profound to me. It says, the president shall appoint someone to perform the duties until the person holding office has resumed those functions. That's key. That's what the Constitution says. Let me read that part of the Constitution again. Until a person has been appointed to and has resumed those functions of such office, or until the person holding such office has resumed those functions, as the case may be, those functions shall be performed by such other person, such other judges, as shall be appointed by the president. After meaningful consultation with the opposition leader. We've already established that there was no consultation with the opposition leader by the president. The Constitution doesn't say the government shall consult. It doesn't say a person designated by the president shall consult. It doesn't say a minister shall consult on behalf of the president. It says the president after meaningful consultation with the opposition leader. I think I've made that point clear. That's my view. But the Constitution is clear that when the person holding the office, whether they're acting or not, and that's another issue I'll deal with, the person holding the office resumes those functions. Until then, someone shall perform the duties pursuant to an appointment by the president. So, as far as I'm concerned, once Justice Cummings resumed her duties as of October 15th, which is what Gail Teixeira's letter says, the person acting ceased to act and should revert to their substantive position, which is George Chief Justice, Singh Justice of Appeal. It's clear. Now, the PPP's argument is Justice Cummings was acting as Chancellor. And once Justice George was sworn in to act as Chancellor, Justice Cummings's appointment to act as Chancellor ceased. Bullshit. That's bullshit. She is the original person in the office. It's not vacant. Now, I have another contention. I don't have, wow, I forgot the provision of the Constitution says the Chancellor and the Chief Justice shall be appointed by the President with the consent of the opposition leader. Now, to circumvent the consent of the opposition leader, the PPP set the precedent of putting somebody to act. My interpretation of the Constitution is that whether you're acting, performing the duties, or appointed, it requires the consent of the opposition leader. The intent of that provision is that there must be a shared decision between the government and the opposition regarding the person acting or performing the functions of Chancellor. So, if you're appointing somebody, you have to get the consent of the opposition leader. If you're appointing somebody substantively. If someone is going to act, it's the same requirement. The intent of the legislation is what, to me, is paramount here. And the intent of the provision is to seek the opinion, not opinion only, but consent. You must seek, it's shared governance. That's what this provision is promoting. You must get the consent of the opposition leader before you appoint someone in that office. But they have been circumventing that by putting someone to act. And I think this matter needs to go to the CCJ for the CCJ to interpret what is the meaning of that. I've been advising the PNC that for the longest while, but anyway, who am I? Now, let me tell you what the PPP proposed to do. They're so discourteous. They're so racist and contemptuous of black people. That's what it is. Let's not dress it up. If Justice Cummings was an East Indian man, they would never have done that. They would never have done that. Now, if you wanted her out, call her and say, hey, Justice Cummings, you know, we know that you've been performing the duties of Chancellor, but the President is considering someone else. I don't know if they did that. Maybe they, it seemed to me that they didn't do that because she went back to office. And the president will appoint somebody else to act. I don't think that that could have happened, but I don't know. That to me has constitutional issues there. But even if they had done that and said, you know, you got 4 more years, 5 more years, or whatever it is, what is your preference? Do you prefer to retire? We'll pay you your retirement package, whatever. Or do you prefer to revert back to the Court of Appeal? No, they flying fish ice past the woman. I should say flying fish. That's an honorable dish. I can't associate that with these racists in the PPP. Bajans might be upset with me. Justice Cummings, based on my research, became acting Chief Justice in 2015. I think she was in the DPP's office. I remember when I was in Guyana, working at the office of the president, she was at the DPP's office. So too was Roxanne George. So too was, I think, Shalimar Ali. They all had come back and working at the DPP. I could be wrong with Shalimar. I remember Jamila Ali was at the Attorney General's office. But Justice Cummings was in the DPP's office as a prosecutor. Then she was appointed a judge. That's after I left Guyana. So I don't remember the year. It might have been around 1999, 2000 or something like that. She was appointed a judge at the Supreme Court. And then she became a Justice of Appeal. I don't even know what year was that. And so in 2015, when Justice Desi Bernard retired as Chancellor and went to the Caribbean Court of Justice, Carl Singh, another despicable character, Carl Singh became the acting Chancellor. And again, they didn't want to seek the consent of the opposition leader. So they appointed him to act. And like, you know how I feel about that. In order to act, you still need the consent. That's just my view, because that's the legislative basis of the provision. Anyway, and when he became Chancellor, Carl Singh, the most senior judge on the Court of Appeal was Justice Cummings. And so that's my opinion. She might not be, but it's the normal process of succession. You go up based on seniority. Only the PPP doesn't go by that when they want to circumvent black people. So she became the Chief Justice. That's 2015. When Carl Singh retired in 2015, I remember that distinctly, she became the acting Chancellor. And I remember what Carl Singh did. Carl Singh retired and came back out of retirement to write the Jagdeo third-term judgment and deliberately misinterpret the Constitution and so that Jagdeo could run for third term, but had to be slapped down by the CCJ. I'll come back to that. Because it shows you how PPP judges, and I hate to say there's a PPP judge or whatever it is, because those guys, like Navendra Singh and Carl Singh and them, they're ruthlessly PPP. They don't rule based on the rule of law as far as I'm concerned. They rule in the interest of the PPP, as far as I'm concerned. Carl Singh can't challenge that. And he and I has a history because CJI did made a report about him. Them man don't care about rule of law. They rule based on their subscription to the PPP's philosophy of ethnic supremacy. That's their guiding principle in the judiciary. And that's what we got to realize. I'm being very candid today. They can't do me nothing. I don't care. So, this woman has been at the top of the judiciary, functioning in two top offices, Chief Justice and Chancellor, for the last 10 years. And these so-and-so men in the PPP want to disrespect this woman and revert her back to the Court of Appeal to function as an ordinary Court of Appeal judge. They want to supersede her with Justice George and Justice Navendra Singh and embarrass her and put her back on the Court of Appeal. Screw that bullshit. Who the hell they think they... I mean, Anil Lal, we know you're the whole architect of this thing. Who the hell are you think you be? So that's what they were doing. As far as I'm concerned, somebody should have challenged it, or somebody should still challenge it. Straight to the CCJ, because the Constitution says the person performing the duties when they resume. Gail Teixeira's letter. Let's come back to the letter. Well, I don't believe this letter is constitutional, but let's come back to the letter. The letter said until Justice Cummins resumes duties on the 15th of October, these people shall act. It is clear as that's what she said. Pursuant to the above constitutional provision, His Excellency is considering appointing Justice George, Chief Justice, acting to perform the functions of Chancellor until Justice Cummins Edwards resumes duties, because that letter is in keeping with the letter of the Constitution. That's what the Constitution says. Now, Justice, based on my sources, the Chancellor Justice Cummins, resumed duties pursuant to her application, well, not application, pursuant to her leave on the 15th of October. Justice George then reverted to the Supreme Court as Chief Justice, because the Chief Justice is always a Court of Appeal judge, but the Chief Justice doesn't sit on the Court of Appeal. She goes back and manages the Supreme Court. So her office and chambers are at the Supreme Court. When she go back there, Navendra Singh say, hell no, me ain't giving up the office. It was the plan. It was a plot. Justice Navendra Singh is a despicable person. He doesn't have... This man, I've been following him for the longest while. He's a thug. He went into QC and created havoc because somebody apparently did something to his daughter. And I'm not saying he shouldn't defend his children. I would do the same thing. But as a judge, no. It caused a big controversy. He does not have the temperament to be a judge, to be on the bench, let alone to be Chief Justice. But he is their thug. He is their PPP thug. Refused to leave the office. How can this man now sit and adjudicate on matters when he has no professional discipline as a judge? How can he go and talk to other judges as the Chief Justice? Can anybody who does not believe in his political philosophy, whatever that is, feel just or feel that justice could be served by going in front of such despicable character? And I hope the opposition leader rejects the president's nomination of him to be the substantive Chief Justice. Now, I see some people commenting here saying that, oh, Justice Cummings should have stayed. at the back of my mind, I'm saying the same damn thing. I'm like, I want to do the same thing like Navendra Singh. He think he alone got balls? I would have done the same damn thing. But all you come and move me, lock up this, you know, they might have to lock up the chambers and change the locks or what. They're ruthless. Justice Cummings is a decent woman. They want to revert her back to the Court of Appeal after she spent 10 years at the two highest offices in the judiciary. You know what that tells you? Not only did they want to revert her to the Court of Appeal, they want to take away her pension at the level of a chancellor. These bitches are brutal. They're vicious. They're callous. They're racist. That's what they want to do. Yes, they're sons of a bitches. They're racist. They think they're the smartest people on earth. Yes, Paul. They're dismantling the judiciary. But they're not dismantling the judiciary completely. They're dismantling the black leadership of the judiciary. Because they have always felt, so many people told me this, they always felt that the blacks must not be at the head of the judiciary. Chancellor, Chief Justice, and Chief Magistrate. Now, let me ask you this. They complain that we have 3 black people at the head of the judiciary. They complain, well, there's a police commission and there are too many blacks in the leadership of the police force and the senior officers. He's saying people don't go in the force and in the army. Now, if you are so concerned about diversity and ethnic balance, how come all them ministries are headed by these senior people? They occupy every damn position, senior position in the government. Why don't you diversify that too? In terms of race. I saw Priya Manichan. Go and check it right now. Priya Manichan went to, as Minister of Local Government, went to Region 2 a few days ago. And they listed the government officials from the ministry who accompanied her. Every one of them are East Indians. All. Like 7 people. All East Indians. What about that? You don't know you need black people there? You don't need, a diverse workforce at the ministry, at the top echelons of the Ministry of Local Government? Check every ministry is the same thing. Check every government agency. Listen, CGID published the heads of government agencies in Guyana, with the exception of GRA, and I don't remember which other one. Every single head of government institutions in Guyana, whether it's ministries, quasi-governmental, all are East Indians. Don't give me the bullshit about all black people heading the judiciary. Change that too. Change that. And don't come and preach to me that you love black. I love black people. That's a lie. And then you had President Ali coming on. The Chancellor has written to me indicating that she's going to proceed. You forced her out. Stop lying. Irfan Ali is lying to the Guyanese people. Lying. And lying is an official policy of the PPP. It's a congenital trait with them. The lie. As a matter of fact, a diplomat told me that the joke in Guyana in the diplomatic community is that everything they say is a lie. Everything they say is a lie. The whole world know that. But somehow they feel special because we have a good relationship with the United States Trump administration. Only wait. They really think Trump loves them? You know, Trump don't know y'all. Trump's Secretary of State and other governmental officials are focused on U.S. interests. And U.S. interests in the geopolitics of the region is energy security. And Guyana has lots of it that could boost the United States energy security. They don't like it. We know y'all love to kiss up to white people. They don't give a bullshit about y'all. They care about U.S. interests. Put that in your louse, greasy coconut oil head. Yes, I said it. Come back to the president. The chancellor has sent me a letter that she's proceeding on requirement leave. After they want to take away the woman's pension as chancellor. Because if she goes back for the next 4, 3, 2, whatever years she has to retire, I think the chancellor retires at 67. I don't think, well, obviously she's not 67 because she resumed duties. Somebody just messaged me inbox saying that I'm racist to say low said. Why you didn't tell Jack there that he was racist for calling Cathy Hughes a lowlife? Let them put it in their greasy coconut louse head. I say so. Some of them head get louse, lice, whatever you call it. I see it. Tell Jack they only check your head. He get a couple lice running about in there. Y'all can't tell me what to see. I'm not them fellas in Guyana York would intimidate. Can't intimidate me. You can write how much. Go and write, Daniel, you go and write the Attorney General of the United States and say, I call you louse head. You're a protector, you're a cockroach. You're a dirty cockroach. You're a killer. You have murdered Courtney Cumming. And we have the evidence of it. You murdered Courtney Cumming. Just like you could go and make statements about me, I can make statements about you. You're a killer. You should be prosecuted and if convicted, face the death penalty. So I wanted to have this conversation tonight to put everything in perspective. And for people to understand, I don't know Justice Cummings' business. I don't know, what motivated her decision to rather go back to the Court of Appeal or retire. I would have done the same thing. As a matter of fact, I would have fight these cockroaches. I would have fight them to the death. I must have been born a fighter. I probably came out to my mother's room just kicking, boom, 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 boom. I'm here. Because I'm going to fight you. You ain't going to push over me. And as long as God give me strength, you're not going to push over black people. I'm not the savior of black people. But I detest injustice. I detest injustice. And what I see happening here, what I know was going to happen, is racism. And it is shocking that people like Hugh Todd and Onish Waldron and Mark Phillips and James Bond. I don't really believe James Bond is a real PPP, but I think James is putting on a real great act. But we'll see. And all these black ministers, they would think that African people are their constituency, but no, they're house slaves and ass kissers to the racists in the PPP. They are the puppets of Jagdeo and Ali. They dare not say anything because they don't want to be kicked out. They want the clout of, I'm a minister of the government. and could drive around with a car. That's what they want, clout. They're not there to serve the people. And Jabir didn't put them there because they want earnestly to be inclusive. No. They're window dressers. It's a farce. It's a farce. They're window dressers. They're token Negroes. They're house slaves. And don't tell me don't call them house slaves. That's what they are. That's the function. They're slave catchers. Because if they were not, they would have been out there saying, I don't stand for this. This woman has 4 more years, 3 more years. Let her serve her term. What is the harm? Well, you want East Indian people who could just rule for you all the time? Their mission is to control every single aspect of national life. They want to control down to where you pee, who you must talk to, what you say, who you must associate with, who you must buy bread from. That's what they want to do. They want to control the society. They want to build a one-party state, dismantle their racism. It is time black people in Guyana and Amerindians and East Indians who are willing to stand up to this nonsense, stand up and take a stand and build a resistance against them. And you see, this nonsense where I was warning before the elections, where our leaders took the people for granted, this is the consequence of that. Not only did the people stay home, not only did they go to a different version of the PPP, because as far as I'm concerned, if Azuddin Mohammed did not follow through the PPP, he would be with them right now, against us. This is a wake-up call. These guys are ruthless, they're callous, they're racist, and if we are not vigilant, they will impose apartheid governance in Guyana, which will lead to slavery of black people. I said it. I don't care what you think. Call me racist or whatever. That's it. They want to put black people under subjugation. They want to rule us. Them forefathers come from India and meet Africans in Guyana. Our foreparents, the slaves, built Guyana and they want to run the country like if it's them own. And like we don't have no place there. And some of us enable that. Some of us enable it. This, what they've done to Justice Cummings, should not stand. Shouldn't stand. That's all I have to say for tonight. Good night.